Johnny Bago is one of those shows that I should not have been watching as a kid, yet somehow I did. I guess I was a little feral. Rewatching it as an adult was like cracking open jokes that I definitely didn't get the first time around. But wow, does it hold up? Well, sort of. Johnny Bago has its flaws, but it was a weirdly funny ride. The premise, Johnny, played by Peter Dobson, is a small-time hood fresh out of prison, and he ends up on the run from the mob, the cops, and his absolutely terrifying ex-wife, who is naturally also his parole officer, while all hiding out in a Winnebago. It's the perfect recipe for absurd hijinks, and it was created by Robert Zemeckis, who is the writer, director, or producer of Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Forrest Gump. Rose Abdu, who is hysterical as Beverly, Johnny's relentless ex-wife / parole officer, who seems to have taken her job solely for the chance to send him back to the clink. Under Zemeckis' direction, Johnny Bago goes all in on absurdity. Beverly's like a Looney Tunes villain with a vendetta. Johnny's mom proudly advises him to take credit for a murder he didn't commit, and in one memorable episode, Johnny's Winnebago somehow becomes a holy shrine, attracting religious pilgrims. The show is shamelessly over the top, and somehow that mostly works. But let's be honest, Johnny Bago was destined to be a cult classic and not a mainstream hit. It aired in the Friday night death slot, where shows go to die, and CBS didn't seem to know what to do with it. Imagine pitching this to the network execs. So it's like Route 66, but with mobsters, and the guy's ex-wife is chasing him in a rage-fueled quest for justice. The only thing crazier than the show's premise is that it got made at all. There are a few dated jokes.
I lost 75 pounds, you know.
Yeah? Why stop there?
Because that would be a violation of parole. And then you'd be back playing house in prison. By the way, when you were in the joint, did your husband make you pick up your clothes?
Fish. Gee, thanks, fellas. I'm real touched.
They fell off the truck this morning.
Hey, nice selection, Tommy.
Well, at least they're fresh.
Ooh, that reminds me. I got a date tonight. That could be a big problem.
Why's that a problem?
It's also my anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Best as I can. We wouldn't want that ice cream to melt now, would we?
Yeah, like ice cream would have a chance to melt in front of your fat face, Beverly.
Hi, I'm Mary Lee.
Hey, what do you say you get out of the way between me and the sun? It's cold enough out here already. What'll happen around here? Some kind of nuclear accident?
No.
And some eye-roll inducing Italian-American stereotypes that feel heavy-handed today. And Peter Dobson is enduring as Johnny, a guy who just can't catch a break but keeps trying anyway. For those who missed it, and statistically speaking, that was most of America, Johnny is like a strange fever dream from the early 90s. And who knew Jimmy Buffett could write such a catchy theme song?
It's too complex.
I was set up. I did not do it.
Bounce from town to town like rubber checks.
Bago. Johnny Bago.
Didn't know at the time I'd pay double for the crime. Not to mention a serious problem with the opposite sex.
I'm his ex-wife.
I guess that's friggin' that. Like an anchovy to an alley cat. Johnny Bago's gonna have to stay a little further down the lost highway. You see, that's friggin' that. Talking to a big old diplomat. Johnny Bago's gonna have to stay a little further down the lost highway. A little further down the lost highway.
It's a shame it didn't last, but maybe that's part of its charm. Johnny Bago didn't outstay its welcome, and it rolled into TV obscurity. We start off with the first episode, which originally aired Friday, June 25th, 1993. Welcome to Johnny Bago, the only show where fleeing the mob, dodging your vengeful ex-wife, and winning a fishing competition somehow all makes sense. The episode kicks off with Johnny fresh out of prison, hoping for a second chance. Unfortunately, his family has other plans. No sooner does Johnny breathe free air than his cousin ropes him into yet another mob scheme. To make matters worse, he is framed for a murder he didn't commit. Now on the run, Johnny adopts the alias Johnny Bago, thanks to a conveniently branded RV he hides in, and hits the road. His getaway vehicle, a Winnebago belonging to Hick, an eccentric retiree who dies in the first episode.
I don't want to get into that right now. I just want to tell you that I'm sorry that I made fun of your way of life.
Hey, Hick, you got a fish! You got a big one, Hick! Hey, hang on to him! Hick!
Hick, wake up.
You've been driving around 20 years by yourself and you got a croak the first day you got company?
All right, this is not your problem. Just walk away. Let the fish and game department handle it.
Hey, wait, stop! Now what, he gets swallowed by a whale?
So really, Johnny is on the hook for Grand Theft Auto. Johnny's new life on the lam would be mostly peaceful if it weren't for Beverly, his ex-wife and freshly assigned parole officer. Beverly's dedication to bringing Johnny back is both terrifying and impressive. She got a badge, a vendetta, and absolutely no patience. At one point, he meets Mary, a kind-hearted woman with big dreams and a meddling mother. Just when Johnny starts thinking he might have a shot at a normal life, if you ignore the mobsters and angry ex-wife, he accidentally enters a fishing competition. One lucky cast later, he's somehow crowned local hero, clutching a record-breaking fish and wondering how the heck he got there. This episode wraps up with Johnny penning a heartfelt letter to his mom. He's trying to explain his newfound life on the road, at least until Beverly and the mob catch up. In the next episode, Johnny Bago addresses the question, what happens when a fugitive accidentally becomes a small-town hero because of his bone marrow? Spoiler alert, nothing good for Johnny. Johnny rolls into a tiny town hoping to lay low, but his rare blood type, AB negative, throws a wrench in his plans. Turns out he's a perfect bone marrow match for Agnes, the town's most adorable sick kid. The little girl is played by Elizabeth Moss of Mad Men and Handmaid's Tale fame. Naturally, Johnny wants nothing to do with this, since he's got the mob and his psycho ex-wife on his tail, but the townspeople have other ideas. Once word gets out about Johnny's heroic potential, he can't escape their gratitude. They shower him with gifts, cook him casseroles, and basically throw him a preemptive "thank you for saving Agnes" parade. It's like A Wonderful Life if George Bailey was a mob-framed ex-con on the lam. Johnny's horrified, but it's hard to argue with free pie and small-town admiration. Dr. Candace, the town's kindly doctor, only adds to his guilt. Before he knows it, Johnny's reluctantly signed up to be the town's bone marrow savior. He's even starting to feel a little connection to these people, which is unfortunate timing since his ex-wife and parole officer Beverly is one step behind him and the mob enforcer Frankie isn't far behind her. Johnny sneaks around trying to avoid Beverly and the mob while still playing small-town saint for the locals. In the end, Johnny does the transplant, saving little Agnes, and the townspeople help him escape. The episode wraps up with Johnny penning another letter to his mom, reflecting his good deed. He hits the road once again, his heart a little fuller. Episode 3, Johnny's Manly Act, originally aired Friday, July 9th, 1993. In this episode, Johnny learns the hard way that there are some things scarier than the mob or an ex-wife on a vendetta, a 17-year-old runaway with daddy issues. While laying low in his RV, Johnny accidentally picks up Lola, a teenage firecracker with a rebellious streak and an alarming tendency to flirt with older men on the run.
I know you're going to find this very strange, but back there at the gas station, when you were checking your oil, I saw the way you handled your dipstick. And I noticed you have very nice hands. And I thought to myself, what a nice man. Why can't I ever meet a nice man like that?
Johnny's clueless at first, but once he finds out...
What do we have here? Lola, 7 pounds, 2 ounces. 6/14, 1975. 1975? What does that make you? Let me see. You get 5, carry the 2, subtract the 1. No, you add a 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 5, 6. What are you, about 22, 23?
No, silly, I'm 17.
She's the daughter of the local sheriff. The stakes go from complicated to prison sentence waiting to happen. Turns out Sheriff Dad has launched a full-blown manhunt to find his runaway princess, and Johnny is now public enemy number 1, even though he's trying to survive without catching a felony charge. Lola, of course, has zero interest in going home and sees Johnny as her ticket to freedom. She keeps turning up the charm, leaving poor Johnny sweating bullets and fumbling to explain that he's not interested. Yeah, and yes, he's aware he could go to jail forever. Imagine trying to politely dodge an underage seductress while dodging your ex-wife and a mob hitman named Goose, both of whom are somehow still on your tail. Johnny's stuck playing reluctant big brother, trying to talk sense into Lola. He gives her the "you don't know how lucky you are" speech, comparing her sheriff dad to his own father, who happened to be a mob enforcer who thought tough love meant teaching him how to shake down the neighborhood kids for lunch money. As the journey gets crazier, Johnny's stress levels spike. He's hiding from Beverly, who's basically a bloodhound, avoiding Goose, and now babysitting a runaway who keeps trying to turn their road trip into something more. At one point, Johnny basically dives out of his own RV to put some distance between them. Eventually, the sheriff catches up with them, and Lola gets into Goose's car as the police close in, and the police capture Goose instead of Johnny. As her dad takes her back home, she and Johnny share a reluctant nod. Maybe he did help her see her father differently. The episode closes with Johnny scribbling a letter to his mom. He hits the road, still pursued by Beverly and the mob, and still hoping his next hitchhiker is at least legal. Episode 4, Johnny's Golden Shaft. Originally aired Friday, July 16, 1993. In this episode, Johnny finds himself at an RV park where he crosses paths with Sally, a gorgeous, no-nonsense woman who's basically the queen bee of the campground. She's smart, confident, and has all the local retirees wrapped around her finger. Naturally, Johnny's smitten, so he decides to step up his game by pretending to be a sophisticated man of the world. In Johnny's mind, this means borrowing a neighbor's wine cooler and dropping words like chateau and vintage without actually knowing what they mean. But there's one problem: Sandy's pint-sized terror of a son, Ricky. This kid takes one look at Johnny and immediately decides he's a loser and a threat to his monopoly on his mom's affection. From that point on, Ricky dedicates himself to sabotaging Johnny's every move.
Hey, Schnook! How'd you like your shower?
You! What are you doing in here, you little son of a...
Oh, Mr. Bago, huh? Well, then why does everything in here say Hick Benson? Passed away? Or did you kill him? I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna find out. My mom's been with enough losers, and, that's my loser. Excuse me.
Well, I don't think I have any previous entanglements.
Good. I just have a financial question to ask you. If you don't mind, Mr. Bago. You know, Rich, you're full of bull. Just like all the rest of the guys I chased away from my mom. Got a built-in bull.
Johnny tries everything to win Ricky over, but Ricky is having none of it. Every time Johnny's about to get a quiet moment with Sandy, Johnny informs his mom that Mr. Bago smells like he sleeps in his car. Meanwhile, Johnny's usual troubles are never far behind. Beverly's still sniffing around, and the mob isn't exactly giving up either. Despite the chaos, Johnny actually starts a genuine connection with Sandy. But every time he's about to make his move, Ricky amps up the sabotage, culminating in an abandoned gold mine expedition, where Ricky and Johnny are trapped in the mine with a camera crew outside. Johnny saves Ricky, and Ricky tells the camera about Johnny Bago, leading Beverly and the mob right to Johnny. This episode ends with Johnny and Sandy sharing a warm moment.
Johnny, wait!
What do they want you for anyway?
Murder.
Oh, you didn't tell me that.
Yo, don't be told press, kid, because I didn't do it, but nobody wants to believe that.
I want to believe it, Johnny. Take us with you.
Oh, Valerie, I'd love to, but I can't.
Come on, Ma, don't you get it? See, being on the land with Johnny, it's no place for you and me. And besides, you don't have to chase after anyone anymore, Ma. We're rich. We can be independent.
Besides, Valerie, you already got a good man in your life.
By the way, don't mean we're not partners anymore, Johnny. We'll always be 50-50 in the golden shaft.
Yeah, that's right, Ricky. You get the gold, and I get the shaft. Listen, you take care of yourself, okay?
Okay,
And take care of your mom, too.
Okay.
But just as things seem promising, Johnny has to escape from the mob and Beverly. He makes a quick escape, reluctantly leaving Ricky. In his letter to his mom, Johnny reflects on the fact that he almost got a real shot at happiness and at a gold mine if the mob and his ex hadn't gotten in his way. He hits the road once again. Episode 5, Big Top Bago, originally aired Friday, July 23rd, 1993. Johnny learns that the only thing worse than being on the run from the mob and his ex-wife is being trapped in a traveling circus run by a psychopath. While hiding out, Johnny stumbles into a shabby circus, hoping to blend into the crowd. Unfortunately, he accidentally startles a chimpanzee into an acrobatic wipeout. Enter Bosco, the ringmaster, a brick wall of a man with a permanent scowl and an attitude that screams HR violation. Bosco demands Johnny pay off the damages by working at the circus, but in Bosco's world, that translates into welcome to indentured servitude. Now Johnny's stuck shoveling elephant poop, putting up tents, and dodging the bitey end of Bosco's prize monkey. As Johnny settles into his new unpaid role, he meets the other circus performers who quickly clue him in on Bosco's management style, intimidation, blackmail, and keeping everyone too broke to escape. Johnny bonds with Marlee, the fat lady of the show, who's got a heart of gold and dreams of a life where she is not cramped in the sequence and forced to sing torch songs next to a bearded lady. Johnny's escape attempts are about as successful as a trapeze artist with a fear of heights. Every time he thinks he's found a way out, Bosco finds a new way to threaten him, especially once he gets wind of Johnny's, shall we say, colorful criminal record. Things go from bad to worse when Bosco decides Johnny's true calling is a clown, and Johnny finds himself painted up, wigged out, and throwing pies at unsuspecting kids while silently plotting Bosco's downfall. In the midst of this circus nightmare, Johnny actually starts to find a sense of camaraderie with the other performers, who are just as desperate to escape Bosco's iron grip. Marlene in particular helps him see that maybe he's not the only one who's been dealt a lousy hand. Inspired by her kindness, Johnny finally hatches a plan to break free. Johnny and the circus freaks stage a full-on revolt, with Marlene leading the charge and the chimp gleefully pelting Bosco with peanuts. By the end of it, Bosco's been outsmarted, outclowned, and left to pick up the peanut shells out of his hair. The performers are free, and Johnny finally gets the chance to hit the road again. As he leaves, he shares a bittersweet goodbye with Marlene, who gives him one last hug that nearly breaks his ribs. In his letter to his mom, Johnny reflects on what he learned. Clowns are terrifying, mobsters might actually be easier to deal with than circus ringmasters, and maybe, just maybe, he's not the only one who could use a little freedom. Episode 6, Lady Madonna, originally aired Friday, July 30th, 1993. Johnny's simple quest for water spirals into yet another misadventure when he accidentally joins a group of exploited migrant workers fighting for fair wages. All he wanted was to top off his radiator, but a run-in with Reno, a ruthless ranch owner, leaves him stuck in the fields, sweating it out with hoe in hand. Apparently asking for free water on her land is a ticket to working off your debt. Reno runs her ranch like a tyrant, paying her workers pennies and threatening to replace them with actual scarecrows if they complain. Johnny, who's more accustomed to fleeing mobsters than farm labor, quickly realizes that manual work isn't his strong suit. But when he tries to rally the workers, they're understandably skeptical of a random guy in an RV with zero farming skills and even less credibility. Then a miracle happens, or rather, a miracle. After a long day in the sun, Johnny looks at his dirty windshield and notices a smudge that, if you squint and tilt your head, sort of resembles the Lady Madonna.
Yeah, well, you tell him I think he needs a wider brim hat for tomorrow. Gloria, I'm in a hurry.
Johnny, the Madonna has appeared on your windshield.
The who on my what?
The Madonna!
Come on, Gloria. Tell your people to get out of the way, please.
They won't listen to me. They're listening to a higher authority.
Don't tell me that. You're buying into this, too. Come on.
We prayed for help for our cause from God, and He has sent us the Madonna.
Are you nuts? Gloria, it's because my windshield wipers are broken. It's just mud and coolant, some squished bugs. Hey, stay away from there. What's he doing?
The workers take this as a sign from above, and Johnny, being Johnny, decides to go with it. Why not let them think he's some sort of holy messenger if it gets him out of pulling weeds? Things get out of hand fast. Words like miraculous, RV spread, and suddenly Johnny's not just a random fugitive, he's Saint Johnny of the Winnebago. Workers start showing up with offerings of tamales and soda cans, praying in front of his windshield. Seeing a chance to make a quick buck, Johnny accepts their gifts and even starts doling out blessings, mostly consisting of vague advice like work hard, drink water. Of course, Reno sees the potential here too, and being the entrepreneurial tyrant she is, she hatches a plan. Why not turn the so-called miracle into a full-blown religious resort?
We have an announcement we'd like to make. For all those that are sick or afflicted, needy, hungry, lonely, Padre Juan and I, well, we're going to make the Madonna the centerpiece of a religious destination resort. We're going to build right here on our land.
Does it have a name yet?
No, I haven't thought of one yet.
We're calling it Faithland, aren't we, Padre Juan?
Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna call it yet. Can I talk to you for a minute, please? Listen. Look, Reno, I got a little problem here.
Take it easy, Johnny. What? I know you don't like Faithland. How about Virginville?
No. I just been doing some thinking. You see, I'm used to the road, and for me to settle down, it's just not in the cards for me. You know what I mean?
Oh, don't get nervous. I'm not looking.
A St. Johnny sanctuary could bring in tourist donations and even revenue to double her exploitation operation. Soon she's ordering up a giant neon Madonna sign and marketing her field as a pilgrimage site. Johnny's guilt finally kicks in when he bonds with Gloria, a tough-as-nails worker who isn't buying his chosen one routine. She reminds him that the real miracles are about justice, not pay-per-view faith healing. With her help, Johnny hatches a plan to exploit Reno's greed and turn the tables on her ridiculous resort idea. That is, until her rich husband wakes up from his coma and sends her packing. By the end, Johnny sneaks away as usual, leaving the workers a little more hopeful with a new sense of solidarity. In the letter to his mom, he reflects on his miracle, the miracle being that somehow he managed to make things better without getting arrested. He hits the road once more, still on the run, but now carrying a little bit more faith in the idea that maybe, just maybe, he's capable of doing some good. Episode 7, Spotting Elvis, originally aired Friday, August 6, 1993. Johnny stumbles into a RV park in the middle of a forest and catches wind of a high-paying job from a group of earnest eco-activists. Their mission: snap some photos of the endangered spotted owl to stop the loggers from turning the whole forest into firewood. Johnny, always on the lookout for some easy cash, spots an opportunity. Instead of waiting around for a real owl, he picks up a stuffed one, slaps a few black spots with a Sharpie, and voila, endangered species. He snaps a few staged photos, pockets the money, and figures he's done his part for Mother Nature. Except his little scheme backfires spectacularly. Instead of slowing down the logging, Johnny's photos convince the loggers to work even faster to cut clear the place before the real protections kick in. Now Johnny's got a bunch of furious eco-warriors on his case, and the forest is closer than ever to becoming a parking lot. Meanwhile, Johnny meets a strange recluse who suspiciously looks like Elvis Presley. The guy claims he's Elvis, who faked his death and escaped to the wilderness to get away from the insanity of fame. Johnny's skeptical at first, but after Elvis starts rambling off deep confessions about his life in the spotlight and offers him a peanut butter and banana sandwich, Johnny starts to believe this guy might actually be the king. Elvis, in his grizzled backwoods glory, even tries to give Johnny a pep talk telling him it's never too late to reinvent himself. Apparently, if Johnny can't escape his past, he can at least put on a new wig and some rhinestones. But things get messy fast. The eco-activists and loggers both descent on the forest, sparking a showdown that's equal parts protest and demolition derby. Right when it looks like chaos is about to reach critical mass, Elvis himself steps out of the trees, hair slicked, cape flowing, and makes a dramatic comeback speech to a bewildered crowd. Just as quickly as he appears, he's gone, vanishing into the forest like Bigfoot in a sequenced jumpsuit. In the end, Johnny has a golden opportunity. He could expose Elvis's secret and make a fortune, but he chooses to keep it to himself. Even when his mother calls, egging him on to get a picture of the king and sell it to the Enquirer, Johnny decides to preserve the mystery. Legends, he realizes, are sometimes better left untouched, whether they're spotted owls, ancient forests, or aging rock stars hiding out in the pines. With the forest temporarily saved and Elvis presumably back in hiding, Johnny hits the road, carrying with him a newfound respect for legends, a slightly bruised ego, and a stuffed owl with a suspicious Sharpie spots. Episode 8, Johnny Saves the World. Originally aired Wednesday, August 18th, 1993. Johnny's quest for food leads him to what he thinks is a barn, but it turns out to be a Cold War-era missile silo, complete with a nuclear missile and a whole lot of unresolved romantic tension. Inside, he meets Nella, an Air Force officer nursing a broken heart after her recent split with her co-worker, and silo dweller Kurt. Imagine a Dr. Strangelove scenario, but with the stakes of a bad soap opera. Nella's on edge, hungry for revenge, and apparently not quite clear on what de-escalation means. Since the Cold War ended, she and Kurt have been holed up in the silo with a missile that's about as useful as a giant paperweight. But that's not stopping her from trying to launch it. Nothing says "I'm over you" like setting off a nuclear missile. She ropes Johnny into helping her with the launch sequence, promising him an easy escape route, but really just hoping for a little drama to spice up her breakup. As soon as Kurt realizes what's happening, he jumps into action, horrified that Nella might actually hit the red button out of sheer romantic frustration. Johnny, caught in the middle of a Cold War love triangle with the fate of the world on the line, suddenly has to play peacemaker. In a desperate attempt to talk some sense into these two, Johnny shares his own tale of love gone wrong, focusing, of course, on his ex-wife Beverly, who happens to be hunting him down and probably somewhere just outside the silo with handcuffs and a grudge. Just as emotions reach their peak, with Kurt finally confessing his feelings and Nella threatening to go nuclear in more ways than one, Beverly bursts into the silo. Her arrival throws a wrench into an already chaotic situation as she goes after Johnny, who's trying to talk Nella down from her missile-inducing meltdown while dodging his ex-wife's attempts to haul him back to prison.
Oh, she doesn't want to die. Do you?
I don't care if I die. I don't want to live in a world where there's no love for one another. I mean, look at you two. You make our relationship look healthy.
That's true, Nella.
5 minutes and counting.
5 minutes. We only got 5 minutes.
I don't suppose it helps if we put cotton in our ears, does it? Well, since we're all going to die, might as well get this off my chest. I've been a pretty big stunk to you, haven't I, Beverly?
Well, that's a revelation.
Well, I just want to let you know one thing, Beverly. After all these years,
It's a standoff between Beverly, Nella, Kurt, and Johnny, and a weapon that could, in theory, wipe out half the continent. In the end, Nella reveals the twist. The missile's been deactivated for years. Her launch sequence was a bluff, a last-ditch cry for attention, and maybe a little closure. Johnny sighs with relief, Beverly's ready to explode, metaphorically, and Kurt's just happy that he doesn't have to explain nuclear Armageddon to his superiors. As the dust settles, Johnny slips out of the silo before Beverly can arrest him. In his usual end of the episode letter to his mom, he reflects on the fact that sometimes unresolved emotions are as dangerous as actual missile. He hits the road again, thankful he saved the world by accident, and 0 credit. Still on the run from Beverly, and now a little wiser about the hazards of dating people in the workplace who have access to launch codes. And that was the end of Johnny Bago. Maybe he's still on the road, and maybe Beverly is still hunting him down.
I hope this letter finds you well and in good health. As for me, I'm still on the road, one step ahead of Beverly. She may have lost 75 pounds, but she's still carrying around a 2-ton grudge. I don't think she's never gonna forgive me. It makes me think of the time you poured a pot of boiling fish broth on Pop's head. His hair never did grow back in that spot behind his ear. And I guess every time you looked at him, it reminded you of when you caught the old man rolling the dough with Miss Fusco in the back of the bake shop. He said he was just helping to make focaccia, but you never wanted to talk about it. See, I'm coming to think that when two people don't talk, don't really level with each other, a little thing could turn into a big spazzaccio. Hell, the whole world can blow up. Not to get dramatical, but when you rest your little head on that pillow tonight, think of me. Your no good son may have just saved the whole freaking world today. And a chick in a boot. Sleep well, Ma. Love, Johnny. Listen, Clucky, a couple eggs a day and I won't hurt you, okay? Hey, you like music? I do. It makes the nights go by faster.